Imagine this for a moment. You wake up tomorrow morning and check your bank account, not with fear, but with a deep sense of peace. There's more than enough money to cover every bill, every dream, every desire you've ever had. You don't worry about where it came from because it feels natural, as if the universe itself has been orchestrating every step for you. Instead of struggling or hustling endlessly, you move through your day with ease, knowing that life is on your side. Now pause and ask yourself, does this feel like a fantasy, or could it actually be reality? Most people have been taught that wealth is hard to achieve, that money is limited, or that only a select few are lucky enough to be rich. But what if that's not true? What if the universe itself is designed to make you rich, not just with money, but with freedom, creativity, and the ability to live fully? This is exactly what Wallace D. Wattles revealed in his groundbreaking teachings. He believed that the universe is constantly expanding, creating, and expressing more life. And because you are part of that life, you are meant to expand too. Wattles taught that poverty is not your destiny, abundance is. In his book, The Science of Getting Rich, Wattles explained a powerful truth. There's a formless substance, an infinite creative energy that responds directly to your thoughts and beliefs. When you think in a certain way, when you align your mind with ideas of growth, increase, and possibility, you actually tap into the universal flow of abundance. He made it clear that wealth is not about taking from others. It's not about competition or struggling to get ahead. Instead, it's about creating more for everyone. The universe does not subtract, it multiplies. There's no shortage of resources, no lack of opportunities. Lack only exists in a mind that believes it. Wattles wrote that you cannot live a truly full, successful, and happy life without wealth. Why? Because money gives you the freedom to express your potential, to experience the beauty of the world, to help others, and to live in a way that reflects your highest self. Being rich is not selfish. It's an essential part of fulfilling your purpose. In this journey, you'll discover why the universe wants you rich, not as an accident, but as a deliberate design. You'll see how gratitude acts as a magnet for more blessings, why faith dissolves the illusion of scarcity, and how your thoughts shape the very reality you live in. Stay with this video until the very end. Each insight will lift a layer of old beliefs, replacing fear with certainty and confusion with clarity. By the time you're done, you'll know that the universe isn't withholding anything from you. It has been waiting for you to simply receive. Ready? Let's step into the truth that abundance is your natural state. The universal desire for expansion. Take a moment to look around you. If you really observe life, you'll notice something subtle yet extraordinary. Everything in this universe is always reaching for more. A tiny seed doesn't stay a seed. It pushes through the soil, grows roots, sprouts leaves, and eventually becomes a towering tree. A river doesn't remain still. It flows, carving new paths and nourishing the land it touches. Even within yourself, there's a constant desire to grow, to experience more, to express more of who you truly are. This is not coincidence. It is the universal desire for expansion. Wallace D. Wattles explained in The Science of Getting Rich that the universe is not static. It is a living, breathing, ever-creating force. It seeks fuller expression through everything it has made, including you. That means you're longing for more wealth, more freedom, more love, more purpose. It's not greed. It's not selfishness. It is the universe seeking to know itself through you. You are an outlet of life, and life by its very nature must expand. Think about it. Every invention, every breakthrough, every piece of art or music was born because someone felt a pull to create something greater than what currently existed. The same energy that drives the stars to burn brighter and the galaxies to spiral outward is within you, urging you to reach higher. Wattles said it so beautifully. You are not here to live a meager life. You are here to live fully, richly, abundantly, and express the greatness that resides within. When you truly understand this, you stop seeing abundance as something rare or reserved for a few. You realize it's the natural state of existence. Look at nature. There are endless grains of sand on the shore, countless leaves in a forest, infinite stars in the night sky. Life does not ration beauty or resources. It overflows. It multiplies without effort. The only place where scarcity exists is in the human mind that believes it. This is why Wattles taught that wealth creation is not in conflict with universal law. In fact, it is aligned with it. When you create wealth, not through competition, but through creativity and service, you are helping life express itself more fully. You're giving the universe another channel to expand. To desire more is to align yourself with the very purpose of existence. Imagine if the universe wanted to remain small, if it resisted growth. There would be no evolution, no progress, no advancement of civilization. But history shows the opposite. Humanity has gone from firelight to electricity, from handwritten letters to instant communication across the globe. And with every step forward, more possibilities have opened. That is the nature of the cosmos itself, endless expansion. Now, here's something powerful to consider. Your desire for wealth is not separate from this universal impulse. When you think about having more resources to care for your family, more freedom to travel, more ability to help others, that desire is life moving through you. Wattles explained that it is not wrong to want riches. It is wrong to deny yourself the full expression of life. By becoming rich in the right way, you not only improve your own life, but you also contribute to the greater unfolding of the universe. Pause for a moment and reflect on where you are right now. In your own life, can you see this desire for more? Maybe it's a longing for a better home, a new opportunity, or simply the ability to live without financial worry. That feeling is sacred. It's not a sign that you are ungrateful. It's proof that you are alive, connected to the same creative force that moves the planets and grows the trees. As you listen to these words, I invite you to feel into this truth. The universe is not against you. It is not withholding abundance from you. It is inviting you to align with it, to think in harmony with its laws, and to allow wealth to flow as naturally as the sun shines. When you think thoughts of growth, gratitude, and increase, you step into the same rhythm as the universe itself. And here's where it becomes even more interesting. Wattles emphasized that you don't take wealth away from others when you become rich. The universe is not a fixed pie where more for you means less for someone else. Instead, it's an infinite ocean of possibilities, constantly replenishing itself. By creating more value, more ideas, more opportunities, you actually expand the wealth available for everyone. That is the creative plane, and it's far more powerful than the competitive one. So ask yourself, what would your life look like if you fully trusted this universal desire for expansion? What if you stopped resisting it with fear and doubt, and instead embraced it as your true nature? What if you believed, deep in your soul, that the universe wants you to prosper because through your prosperity, it expresses more of its endless creativity? Before we move deeper into this journey, I'd love for you to connect with this moment. Take a second and comment below. Where are you listening from right now, and what time is it for you? Let's create a space where people from all over the world can come together and feel this shared truth. Abundance belongs to all of us. When you look at life through this lens, wealth is no longer something to chase. It becomes something you allow. You're not forcing it. You're aligning with what has always been there. The universe is already expanding. It's already abundant, and you are part of that expansion. Wealth is a spiritual responsibility. Imagine yourself living in true abundance. Not just financial wealth, but an inner richness where your needs are met, your desires fulfilled, and your life overflowing with peace and purpose. In that state, what could you do for the people you love? What could you offer to your community? What kind of world could you help build if you had the freedom and resources to fully express your gifts? Wallace D. Wattles explained that becoming rich is not about greed or selfishness. It is about aligning yourself with the universal flow of life and allowing more of that life to express through you. He wrote, asterisk, the purpose of life is the advancement and unfoldment of life itself, and everyone should have all that can contribute to the power, elegance, beauty, and richness of life. Asterisk, when you think deeply about this, you realize that wealth is not just for you. It is a spiritual responsibility, because with more, you can do more. There is a common misconception that desiring money is shallow or materialistic. But what is money really? It is a tool, a form of energy, a means by which ideas become reality. Without resources, even the most brilliant visions remain locked in a mind. Without wealth, even the purest intentions are limited by lack. When you embrace prosperity, you are not taking from others. You are opening yourself as a channel through which greater good can flow into the world. Think of history's great benefactors, the people who funded schools, hospitals, research, and art. They could do this because they had resources. A person who is struggling just to survive cannot think about changing the world. But when your basic needs are met and you are financially free, your mind opens to higher purposes. You can give more time, more energy, and more contribution to the expansion of life. In this way, wealth becomes a spiritual service, not a selfish goal. Wattles pointed out that poverty does not serve anyone. It does not uplift the soul, nor does it expand life. Poverty is a condition of limitation, and life by its nature is limitless. To believe that staying poor is somehow virtuous is to misunderstand the laws of the universe. Life seeks fuller expression in every direction, and wealth is one of the ways it expresses its abundance. By becoming rich, you do not diminish others. You help lift the standard of living for everyone by creating more opportunity, more growth, and more possibilities. Consider this. When you start a business, you not only create wealth for yourself, but you also create jobs for others. You create services or products that improve lives, and you stimulate the flow of resources in your community. When you invest in your own education or personal growth, you expand your capacity to serve, inspire, and lead. This is why Wattles argued that becoming rich in the right way is not only a personal choice, but a moral one. You cannot help the poor by becoming one of them, but you can help the poor by becoming rich and showing them how to do the same. There is also a deeper spiritual dimension to wealth. When you accept abundance into your life, you affirm your faith in the generosity of the universe. You acknowledge that the source of all things is not limited. The same force that created oceans, stars, and infinite galaxies is also capable of supplying everything you need for your life's purpose. Wattles called this the thinking substance that responds to your thoughts and beliefs. When you think in harmony with the universal desire for expansion, you naturally draw wealth to you, not through competition, but through creativity and alignment. Think of the impact you could have if you lived this truth. Imagine paying off someone else's debts anonymously. Imagine funding a project that changes lives. Imagine being able to give freely without fear of running out. True wealth allows you to live with generosity instead of hesitation. It allows you to say yes to opportunities that align with your heart, rather than saying no because of financial constraints. This is why wealth is a spiritual responsibility. It is not about hoarding money or flaunting status. It is about becoming a steward of resources, using them to bring more light, more beauty, and more possibility into the world. You cannot give what you do not have. You cannot inspire from place of lack. But when you have more than enough, you radiate abundance, and that energy lifts others. Even in nature, we see this principle. A healthy, thriving tree produces more fruit and seeds, feeding animals and planting the next generation of trees. In the same way, a thriving person naturally uplifts others. Wattles believed that every person has the right and the duty to be rich, because through richness you fulfill your highest potential and contribute to the greater good. If you still feel a lingering sense of guilt about wanting money, ask yourself, what could I do for others if I had more? You might support a family member in need, contribute to a cause that touches your heart, or simply live with more joy, which itself is a gift to the world. Wealth is not a barrier to spirituality. It is an expression of it when gained through right thought and action. So, let's shift the way we think about prosperity. It is not selfish to want to live well. It is selfish to deny your potential and leave the world without the gifts you were meant to share. The universe does not want you small, struggling, or afraid. It wants you expansive, creative, and powerful, because through you, it experiences more of itself. Right now, take a moment and think about what wealth would allow you to do, not just for yourself, but for the people and places that matter most. See that vision clearly. Feel how many lives would be touched because you chose to step into abundance. That is the deeper purpose of riches, the invisible supply of abundance. There is a quiet truth beneath all the noise of the world. The universe is overflowing with supply. It is not confined to what you can see with your eyes or touch with your hands. Wallace D. Wattles called this the formless substance, an invisible yet intelligent presence that permeates everything. It is not empty space. It is alive with infinite possibilities, waiting to take shape according to the ideas you hold in your mind. When you look at life through the lens of scarcity, it may seem like resources are limited. You might see competition everywhere, people fighting for the same opportunities, and feel as though there's not enough to go around. But this perception comes from fear, not truth. Lack is a concept born of limited thinking. The deeper reality is that the universe is an ever-flowing ocean of creative energy. Nothing is truly missing. It simply hasn't been formed yet. Imagine the air you breathe. You don't fear that someone else taking a deep breath will leave you with less. The supply is endless. Money, ideas, opportunities, and wealth are similar. They're forms of energy, not fixed objects that can run out. They're drawn from the invisible field that surrounds you, the same field that has given birth to all inventions, all creations, all growth since the beginning of time. Wattles taught that when you understand this truth, you stop chasing what seems scarce and start creating from the unseen. This formless substance responds directly to thought. It has no will of its own. It simply takes the shape of the ideas impressed upon it. When you hold an image of abundance with faith and clarity, you are planting a seed in this universal mind. And just as a seed grows in the soil without you seeing the process, your mental impressions grow in the unseen until they appear in physical reality. There is no need for force or struggle because the universe organizes itself around your dominant thought. Think of every great achievement in history. Before there was electricity, the idea existed in someone's mind. Before there were airplanes, there was only the dream of flight. Before there were skyscrapers, someone imagined reaching higher than ever before. These things didn't come from nowhere. They were drawn from the invisible supply and made real through thought, belief, and action. In the same way, wealth exists first as a mental state. Then it shows itself as material abundance. Wattles emphasized that poverty or lack is not a natural condition of life, but a misunderstanding of how the universe works. The world is rich with raw material, ideas, and connections, but it is your belief in limitation that cuts you off from the flow. The moment you shift from "there isn't enough" to "there's more than I could ever use," you open a channel for supply to reach you. Your thinking changes the way you feel, and the way you feel changes what you attract. To connect with this invisible abundance, you must train your mind to see beyond appearances. Even if your bank account is empty, you are surrounded by the potential for wealth. Even if opportunities seem scarce, they are waiting to be revealed the moment you align your inner world with the truth of unlimited supply. This is not wishful thinking. It is a law of the universe that has been demonstrated over and over. Wattles wrote that the formless substance is impersonal. It does not choose who gets more and who gets less. It responds equally to anyone who understands how to work with it. This means that no matter your background, education, or current situation, you have direct access to this infinite source. The universe is neutral. If you think thoughts of fear and lack, it reflects that back to you. If you think thoughts of abundance and gratitude, it reflects that instead. The key is to shift your focus from the seen to the unseen. Instead of worrying about what you don't have, you hold in your mind what you desire as if it already exists. This act of mental ownership signals the universe that you are ready to receive. And because the invisible supply is infinite, your receiving does not take away from anyone else. In fact, the more you create, the more you inspire others to create, expanding abundance for all. You can test this idea in small ways. Begin to see the wealth of beauty around you. The trees growing effortlessly, the endless sky, the uncountable stars. Notice how nature operates without fear of running out. Flowers bloom again and again. Oceans never stop flowing. Seasons return with perfect timing. This is the natural rhythm of abundance. When you align your thoughts with this rhythm, you stop feeling separate from it. You become a co-creator with the universe instead of a struggler against it. Wattles reminded us that the universe does not play favorites. It simply responds. This truth is liberating because it removes the feeling of competition. You don't need to take from someone else to prosper. You can create your own wealth directly from the unseen, just as countless innovators, artists, and entrepreneurs have done. Every great fortune began as an idea in someone's mind, and your ideas can be just as powerful. So, take a moment to let this truth sink in. The supply of the universe is invisible, unlimited, and waiting for you. It does not matter what has happened in the past, how much you think you've lost, or what circumstances you were born into. The moment you change your thought, you change your connection to the infinite. You are never cut off unless you believe you are. You are meant to live fully. There's a simple but often overlooked truth. Life was never designed to be lived in limitation. Wallace D. Wattles stated it clearly. You cannot live your best life in poverty. Not because wealth is the only measure of success, but because without the means to express yourself fully, you are forced to shrink your potential. Think about it. When you lack money, you often lack freedom. Your choices are limited. You have to compromise your dreams, cut back on your desires, and postpone your deeper purpose. Poverty isn't noble. It's a form of restriction that keeps the soul from expanding. Wattles believed that health, wealth, and love are the three pillars of a fully expressed life. Without health, you cannot enjoy the richness of living. Without wealth, you cannot access the tools, environments, and opportunities that allow your gifts to reach their fullest expression. Without love, connection to yourself and others, you remain incomplete no matter how much you accumulate. True abundance is holistic. It touches every dimension of your being. There's a common myth that struggling makes you more virtuous, that somehow enduring lack makes you spiritually pure. But Wattles challenged that belief. He said there's nothing noble about deprivation. If the universe itself is abundant, ever-expanding, and endlessly creative, why would it want you to live in less than your fullest expression? The idea of noble struggle is often a way people justify staying small, but it does not align with the universal principle of growth. Nature does not struggle to grow. A seed does not apologize for becoming a tree. It simply unfolds into the fullness of what it is meant to be. When you embrace wealth as a natural part of life, you free yourself from guilt. You stop thinking of money as something dirty or selfish and start seeing it as a tool for creation. Wattles taught that money is essential for anyone who wants to live a complete life. With it, you can eat well, travel, study, give, create, and help others. Without it, you're forced to live in survival mode, always focused on getting by rather than growing. Think of the great contributions in history: art, science, education, innovation. They all required resources. Michelangelo needed patrons to create the Sistine Chapel. Nikola Tesla needed funding to build his inventions. Even acts of charity, kindness, and community upliftment require material support. Wealth doesn't take away from spirituality. It amplifies your ability to do good in the world. When you prosper, you don't just enrich your own life. You become a channel through which abundance flows to others. Living fully also means being able to enjoy life without guilt. To have the time to rest without worrying about bills. to give your children the best opportunities, to care for your body with the finest nutrition and health practices, to surround yourself with beauty, art, and experiences that uplift your soul. Wattles insisted that these are not luxuries. They are natural expressions of a life in alignment with universal law. But here's the key. Living fully starts with accepting that you are meant to. If you secretly believe that struggle is somehow more spiritual, you block the flow of abundance. If you believe money is the root of all evil, you unconsciously push it away. You can't welcome what you resent. The first step is releasing the old programming that says desiring more is wrong. The truth is, desiring more life is natural. It is the universe expressing itself through you, seeking greater expansion. Look at nature again for proof. Trees grow toward the sun. Rivers carve new paths. Life multiplies. Everything in creation seeks fuller expression. You are no different. Your longing for better health, deeper love, more wealth, and greater freedom is not greed. It's life itself moving through you. So let's clear the misconception. You're not meant to live small. You're not meant to barely get by. You are meant to thrive, to experience beauty, to create, to contribute, to live in joy. Wattles wrote that you cannot help others by being poor yourself. You cannot inspire the world if you're constantly weighed down by lack. The best way to serve humanity is to become all that you can be, and that includes living a materially abundant life. Wealth is not about hoarding or showing off. It's about having the freedom to live in alignment with your highest self. It's about the ability to choose, to give, to create, to expand without limitation. And the moment you understand this, you stop feeling guilty for wanting more. You see it for what it truly is, the natural desire of life to express itself through you. So, think about your own life for a moment. Are there dreams you've set aside because of money? Are there ways you wish you could contribute, but feel you lack the resources? Do you secretly wish for more, but feel hesitant to admit it? Remember, those desires are not wrong. They are signals from your higher self, reminding you that you are meant for more than survival. The power of a rich mental image. Everything you experience in your outer life begins with an inner picture. Wallace D. Wattles emphasized that the mind is the true workshop of creation. Before a building is constructed, it exists as a blueprint. Before a masterpiece is painted, it first lives as an image in the artist's mind. And before wealth manifests in your life, it must first be shaped as a rich mental image within your own consciousness. Why is this so important? Because the subconscious mind works with pictures, not vague wishes. If you say, "I want more money," but your mind holds a scattered or doubtful image, the result will be equally uncertain. Clarity is power. When you hold a precise mental picture of what wealth looks like in your life, what it feels like, what it allows you to do, how it expands your world, you're giving your mind a clear instruction. The universe responds to that clarity. Wattles taught that mental clarity attracts physical results because thought is the first level of creation. Thought impresses itself on the formless substance of the universe, shaping it into visible form. This is why so many people who seem to magnetize money are not just lucky. They're living with a focused inner vision. They're not scattered in doubt or confusion. They see what they want clearly, they feel it is real, and they act in alignment with that vision. So how do you create such a rich mental image? It begins with specificity. Don't just imagine being rich. That's too vague for your mind to grasp. Instead, imagine the details of your wealthy life. Picture yourself in the home you want, feeling the comfort of it. See yourself driving the car that symbolizes freedom to you. Visualize your bank account showing the exact figure you desire. But don't stop at surface-level objects. Go deeper. Imagine how you feel in that reality. Calm, secure, empowered, generous. Those feelings are the true bridge to manifestation because they communicate directly with your subconscious. You can practice this daily through what Wattles and others have called constructive imagination. Set aside a few minutes each day to close your eyes and see yourself living as the wealthiest version of you. Not in the future, but now. See yourself paying for things with ease, Feel the joy of helping loved ones. Sense the freedom of knowing you can say yes to opportunities without hesitation. Let the image become so real that it stirs an emotional response inside you. That emotional charge is what imprints the image onto your deeper mind. This is not fantasy or daydreaming. Fantasy is imagining without belief. A true mental image is held with faith, with the quiet knowing that what you see inwardly will express outwardly. Wattles was very clear. What you consistently hold in your mind will, by law, seek expression in your physical world. To strengthen this practice, you can use mental anchoring techniques. For example, visualize a simple symbol that represents wealth to you, like a golden key or a flowing river of light. Anytime you feel doubt, bring that symbol to mind and let it reconnect you to your wealthy self-image. You can also combine visualization with affirmations. As you see yourself living in abundance, gently affirm, "This is who I am. Wealth flows to me freely. I am one with endless supply." Another powerful technique is to write out your vision. Describe your wealthy life in detail and read it each day, feeling the emotions as you read. Writing engages both the conscious and subconscious mind, strengthening the image. And if you want to deepen the effect even further, visualize right before sleep. In that drowsy, relaxed state, your subconscious is most receptive. Imagine yourself already living in your desired financial reality, and let that be the last impression on your mind before you drift off. Wattles insisted that it is impossible to hold a rich, clear, unwavering mental image and not attract the corresponding reality. Why? Because your actions naturally align with your dominant vision. When you see yourself as wealthy, you unconsciously begin to act, think, and speak like a wealthy person. You make decisions from abundance, not fear. You carry yourself differently. You begin to notice opportunities that were always there, but invisible to the old mindset. But here's the warning: do not contaminate your mental image with doubt or competition. If you visualize wealth, but then spend your day thinking about what you lack or envying what others have, you're sending mixed signals. Hold your image with calm confidence, knowing that it is already moving toward you. Trust that the universe is working in your favor. Take a moment now and think about what your wealthy life truly looks like. Not someone else's version of wealth, but yours. Is it the freedom to travel? Is it a peaceful home? Is it the ability to support your family with ease? Whatever it is, see it clearly. Feel it deeply. Own it as your reality. Thinking in a certain way. Wallace D. Wattles spoke with remarkable clarity about a principle that separates those who struggle endlessly for money from those who attract it with grace. He called it thinking in a certain way. At first glance, it might seem simple, just think positively, right? But Wattles meant something far deeper. Thinking in a certain way is about aligning your entire mental, emotional, and spiritual energy with the creative force of the universe. It's about replacing doubt with knowing, replacing competition with creation, and stepping fully into the awareness that wealth is not something you chase, it is something you allow. So what exactly is this certain way? It begins with understanding that there are two primary modes of thought: competitive thought and creative thought. Most people live in a competitive mindset without even realizing it. They believe there's a limited amount of wealth available, and therefore they must fight, hustle, or outsmart others to claim their share. This way of thinking breeds fear, anxiety, and jealousy. It sees someone else's success as a threat. It believes in scarcity. Creative thought is the opposite. It recognizes that wealth is infinite because it comes from the formless substance of the universe. Creative thought is expansive, collaborative, and abundant. It doesn't look at what others have with envy. It looks at what is possible and moves toward it with calm confidence. Creative thought doesn't take, it generates. And here is the key. You cannot think creatively while simultaneously thinking competitively. They are two entirely different frequencies. Wattles explained that when you think in a certain way, you connect yourself to the universal supply. Certainty dissolves fear because fear lives in uncertainty. When you know, truly know, that wealth is your birthright, and that the universe is eager to expand through you, doubt has no room to survive. This is not wishful thinking or blind faith. It is a deep inner conviction, a sense of harmony with the universal laws that govern abundance. How do you shift from wanting wealth to knowing it's yours? It starts with language and self-image. Wanting implies lack. When you say, "I want money," your subconscious hears, "I don't have it yet." Knowing implies ownership. When you say, "I am wealthy," wealth flows to me effortlessly. You are affirming a truth that your mind begins to accept. And when the subconscious accepts something as truth, it aligns your actions and your energy accordingly. But knowing is more than repeating words, it is feeling them. It is allowing yourself to embody the state of wealth right now, before the physical evidence appears. Think about it. Does a wealthy person live in constant anxiety about money? No. They move with calmness. They make decisions from abundance. They trust in the flow of opportunities. To think in a certain way is to adopt that inner posture now, even before the outer world reflects it. Here's a powerful exercise to help you make this shift. Sit quietly and bring to mind the version of yourself who already lives in abundance. Notice how that version of you feels, speaks, and thinks. That version of you is not frantic or desperate. They are composed. They are creative. They know that resources are limitless. Spend time each day connecting with this version of yourself until it feels natural. The more you embody it, the more it becomes your dominant state of being. Another key to thinking in a certain way is to stop entertaining thoughts of limitation. Wattles was very clear on this. You cannot hold two opposing thoughts in your mind and expect success. If you visualize wealth in the morning but spend the rest of the day worrying about bills, you are canceling out your own creative power. You must train yourself to gently release thoughts of scarcity the moment they appear and replace them with thoughts of expansion. Certainty also requires acting in harmony with your vision. Thinking in a certain way is not passive. It naturally leads to inspired action. When you truly believe wealth is yours, you begin to act as someone who is already wealthy. You handle money with care. You invest in yourself with confidence. You seek opportunities not from desperation, but from curiosity and trust. These actions reinforce the belief, creating a powerful cycle of growth. Perhaps the most liberating part of this practice is realizing you don't need to compete for what is yours. When you know that the universe is limitless, you stop fearing that someone else's gain is your loss. Instead, you celebrate other successes because you understand that creation is ongoing and there is more than enough for all. This mindset removes the tension and strain that so many carry when they think about money. Imagine waking up each day with that certainty. Imagine knowing, not just hoping, that wealth is unfolding in your life in perfect timing. Imagine feeling gratitude for what you have while joyfully expecting more. That is the essence of thinking in a certain way. It's not about forcing or begging the universe. It's about aligning with it. As Wattles said, the universe wants you rich because through you it expands and expresses itself more fully. When you think in harmony with that truth, you become a creative channel through which abundance flows naturally. You stop pushing against life and start moving with it. And in that movement, wealth becomes inevitable. Gratitude as the magnet of wealth. Wallace D. Wattles emphasized a truth that many overlook on their journey to abundance. Gratitude is the golden key that unlocks more of what you desire. It's not just a polite emotion or a fleeting feeling. It is an active force that shifts your entire vibration. When you're truly grateful, you align your mind with the creative power of the universe. You step out of resistance and into flow. Think about this. When you express sincere gratitude, you are acknowledging that good already exists in your life. That acknowledgement creates harmony. It tells the subconscious mind that abundance is present and growing. And when your mind believes something is already real, it seeks ways to make it even more tangible. Gratitude multiplies because it tunes you to the frequency of receiving. There is also a deep spiritual dimension to this. Gratitude opens your heart. It dissolves feelings of lack, fear, and envy. It reminds you that you are supported, that the universe is working with you, not against you. Wattles explained that the moment you begin to feel grateful for what you have, even if it's small, you stop focusing on scarcity and start creating from sufficiency. And from that state, more must come. Science backs this up too. Studies on positive psychology show that gratitude literally rewires the brain. It activates areas associated with reward, motivation, and connection. When you feel thankful, your body releases chemicals like dopamine and serotonin that improve your mood and keep you in an elevated state. And from that elevated state, you naturally attract better ideas, better decisions, and better opportunities. So how can you make gratitude your daily practice? Start simple. Each morning, list 3 things you're grateful for. Not just things you already have, but also things you are calling in. Feel as if they are already yours. For example, I am so grateful for the steady flow of money in my life, even if that flow hasn't fully appeared yet. Speak it as if it's already done. That feeling of already receiving is what makes the subconscious accept it as truth. You can also use gratitude in the present moment. When you pay for something, silently say, "Thank you for the resources that make this possible. Thank you for the abundance returning to me multiplied." When you receive even a small amount of money, express appreciation as though it's a great fortune. This attitude builds momentum because your subconscious begins to associate money with joy rather than stress. Another powerful method is evening gratitude reflection. Before sleep, mentally review your day and give thanks for every blessing, big or small. Doing this before sleep imprints a positive, abundant vibration into your subconscious, which works all night to create more of what you appreciate. And here's the beauty of it. Gratitude doesn't just bring more money. It enhances every area of your life. It attracts supportive people, creative opportunities, and peaceful energy. It changes how you see the world, making you more receptive to the flow of good that is always around you. So let's make a small agreement right now. If this resonates with you, if you feel the power of gratitude stirring within, take a moment to hit that like button. It's a simple act, but it helps spread this message of abundance to more people who need it. And if you want to keep receiving insights like this, truths that can transform how you think and live, make sure to subscribe to this channel. By doing so, you're joining a growing community of people who are choosing to think and live in a certain way. Now, let gratitude settle in your heart. Appreciate what is here, appreciate what is coming, and know that the more you give thanks, the more you'll have to be thankful for. The creative versus competitive plane. Wallace D. Wattles drew a clear line between 2 ways of approaching life, the competitive plane and the creative plane. Most people, he observed, are trapped in competition. They believe that there's only so much wealth to go around, and so they fight, scramble, and struggle to claim their portion. This mindset is rooted in fear and limitation because it assumes that if someone else gains, you must lose. On the competitive plane, money and resources seem finite. People hoard, undercut, and live in a state of constant anxiety. Wattles saw this as an illusion created by limited thinking. The truth, he explained, is that the universe is not fixed. It is ever expanding. There is a formless substance, a boundless creative energy that responds to thought. When you align with this creative energy, you're no longer taking from a limited pool. You're tapping into an infinite source that can produce more wealth, more opportunities, more life for everyone. The creative plane works entirely differently. Here, you don't look at what exists and try to grab your share. You don't think, "I must outsmart or outperform others to win." Instead, you focus on bringing something new into existence. You become a channel for greater ideas, better services, and higher value that naturally attracts wealth without harming anyone else. In this state, your gain contributes to the good of all because you're expanding what's available rather than subtracting from it. Think about it. Every great innovation, whether it was a new technology, a new way of serving people, or a new creative idea, came from someone on the creative plane. They weren't competing to take something away. They were creating something that didn't exist before. When Steve Jobs envisioned the iPhone, for example, he wasn't trying to compete for a finite supply of wealth. He was creating a new value that generated wealth for millions, not just himself. Wattles insisted that to truly prosper, you must make this shift. Stop thinking of wealth as a zero-sum game. Stop seeing life as a pie that only has so many slices. On the creative plane, the pie is infinite. It keeps expanding as you create more value. And when you operate from that truth, you stop feeling threatened by other people's success. In fact, you celebrate it because it's proof that abundance is real and available. How do you rise above the competitive plane? It begins with a change in consciousness. Notice your thoughts. Are you comparing yourself to others? Are you feeling jealousy or resentment when someone prospers? Those are signals that you're thinking competitively. Shift those thoughts to creative gratitude. Instead of saying, they have what I want, say, their success shows me what is possible for me too. The same source that blessed them is blessing me now. Another key is to focus on service and value. Ask yourself daily, how can I create something that benefits others? How can I improve what I offer to the world? When you focus on creating and giving, wealth flows naturally because people are drawn to what truly serves them. You're no longer fighting for scraps. You're building a new table. Operating on the creative plane also means trusting the universe's timing. When you compete, you're impatient and anxious because you think opportunities are slipping away. But on the creative plane, you know that opportunities are infinite because they are created through thought and inspired action. You don't chase, you align. This is not just theory. Wattles pointed out that every person who became truly wealthy in a lasting way, whether an inventor, an entrepreneur, or a visionary, was acting from the creative plane, consciously or unconsciously. They added to the world's richness rather than depleting it. So as you listen to this, ask yourself honestly, am I thinking competitively or creatively? Am I focused on lack or on creation? Take a moment to reflect, and if you're comfortable, share in the comments below where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. It's always amazing to see how people all around the world are coming together to shift into this higher way of thinking. When you release competition and embrace creation, you stop running the same race as everyone else. You start building your own path, one where wealth flows freely, without stress, without fear, and without taking from anyone. The universe responds to action. Wallace D. Wattles was clear about one thing. Thinking alone will not make you rich. Thought is the starting point, the blueprint of your wealth, but it must be followed by action. The universe is responsive, but it responds through channels, through the movement of your hands, your voice, your decisions, and the energy you put into the world. Without action, even the clearest mental image remains just a dream. Wattles taught that thought creates the mold, but action is the substance that fills it. When you hold a rich, expansive idea in your mind, you are impressing it upon the formless substance. That impression starts a chain of invisible movements, rearranging circumstances, drawing people, opportunities, and resources toward you. But for those opportunities to crystallize into reality, you must act when they appear. The moment you feel inspired, you take the step that is in front of you, no matter how small. This is what Wattles called acting in a certain way. It doesn't mean frantic activity, hustling without direction, or working harder than everyone else. It means taking deliberate, purposeful action that is aligned with your mental vision of wealth. You do not wait for perfect timing or for every detail to be clear. You act where you are, with what you have, while holding the image of where you want to go. Think about a seed planted in the ground. Your thought is like the seed. It contains the entire pattern of the plant within it. But without the nurturing actions of watering, tending, and exposing it to sunlight, it cannot grow. Similarly, your wealth consciousness needs action as the bridge between the unseen and the seen. Wattles emphasized that inspired action is different from forced effort. It doesn't come from fear or desperation. It comes from an inner knowing that the universe is already moving in your favor. When you trust that the actions you take feel lighter. They may still require discipline and commitment, but they won't feel like struggle. For example, if you hold the vision of a thriving business, the inspired action might be to make a call, send an email, create a product, or improve a service. Each action becomes an open door for the universe to flow through. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that wealth will drop into their lap if they simply meditate or affirm it. Thought without action is incomplete. But the opposite is also true. Action without thought leads to struggle. You see many people working long hours, competing, and burning out, yet still not becoming wealthy. Why? Because they are acting without the creative image in mind. They are not aligned with the universal flow. They are merely spinning in the old competitive energy. Wattles explained that when you think and act in harmony, your work multiplies in power. You're no longer just doing things to survive. You're creating channels for abundance. Money, ideas, and opportunities begin to flow because you are an active participant in the creative process. It's like tuning yourself to the right frequency so the signal comes through clearly. This means that no matter where you are now, there is always something you can do today to move closer to your vision. It might be a small step, a single phone call, a simple improvement to your current work, or even just organizing your environment to prepare for more. Each of these steps tells the universe, I am ready, I am serious, I am in motion. And here's the beauty of it. You don't have to know the entire path. You only need to take the next step. When you take one inspired action, the next one reveals itself. The universe meets you halfway, arranging events and opening doors you couldn't have predicted. But none of that happens if you stay still, waiting for wealth to appear without doing your part. Wattles even said that the action you take today should be done in the best possible way. Don't wait for a better job, a better time, or a better place to give your best effort. Whatever is in front of you right now, do it with excellence. By doing so, you create a magnetic field of efficiency and value that naturally attracts more opportunities for wealth. Imagine two people with the same dream. One spends years thinking about it, but never moves. The other starts taking small, consistent steps, guided by their inner vision. Who do you think the universe will support more? Action is the evidence of your belief. When you move, you signal to the infinite supply that you're serious about receiving. So remember, thought creates the image, belief gives it life, but action makes it real. You don't need to force outcomes or control everything. You simply take inspired steps each day, trusting that each move is part of a larger divine unfolding. In this way, you create a flow between your inner world and outer reality, a seamless exchange where wealth is not only attracted but also expressed. Faith removes the illusion of lack. Wallace D. Wattles emphasized a profound truth. Lack is not real. It is an illusion created by the mind when it forgets the limitless nature of the universe. Faith is the power that dissolves this illusion. When you have true, unwavering faith, you no longer see scarcity as a fixed reality. You recognize it as a temporary shadow cast by your old beliefs. Faith connects you to the formless supply, the infinite reservoir of abundance that is always available, waiting for your claim. Faith is not blind hope or wishful thinking. It is a deep inner knowing that the universe is abundant, that the same intelligence that sustains the stars, the oceans, and the endless cycles of life also sustains you. Wattles described faith as a mental attitude of certainty, a calm assurance that what you desire is already making its way to you. When you hold this feeling consistently, it transforms your inner world. And because your inner world creates the outer, your circumstances begin to shift in surprising ways. Consider this. The subconscious mind responds to the dominant feeling you impress upon it. If your mind is filled with fear and doubt, it reflects that fear in your reality. You see delayed opportunities, closed doors, and limited options. But when you cultivate faith, the subconscious receives a new instruction. It starts seeking out ways to prove your belief true. You begin noticing possibilities you previously overlooked. Your actions align more naturally with success, and others respond differently to your energy, because you radiate quiet confidence. Wattles believed that faith is a creative force. It doesn't simply help you endure hardship, it reshapes the very substance of your life. When you truly believe in abundance, you stop making decisions from a place of desperation. Instead of asking, "Can I afford this?" you begin asking, "How can I create this?" You no longer shrink your desires to fit your current conditions. You expand your faith to match the life you know you're meant to live. Faith is also what allows you to remain steady when the outer world appears unchanged. In the creative process, there is always a gap between planting the seed and harvesting the fruit. During that gap, the old conditions may still be visible. Bills may still arrive. Challenges may still surface. But faith keeps you anchored in the knowing that these are only temporary appearances. Wattles taught that you must hold the image of what you want and never allow yourself to doubt or waver, no matter what seems to be happening. He compared the process to a farmer who plants seeds. Once the farmer plants them, he doesn't dig them up every day to see if they are growing. He trusts the natural law of growth. Similarly, when you hold your vision of abundance with faith, you don't need to check constantly for signs. You trust the unseen forces that are already working on your behalf. Faith also rewires your inner dialogue. Instead of silently affirming lack with thoughts like, "I'll never get ahead," you begin affirming, "I live in a universe of abundance and I am provided for in all ways." Over time, these affirmations become beliefs, and beliefs shape your reality. Even in difficulty, Wattles advised that you should not let fear take over your thoughts. He said, "Do not spend your time in trying to convince others of the truth. Simply hold your faith and let it be expressed in your actions and your calmness. When others panic, your steadiness becomes a signal that you're operating on a higher plane." Faith is like a bridge between the invisible and the visible. It allows you to rest in the knowing that abundance is already yours, even if you cannot yet see it with your physical eyes. The more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. Soon, faith no longer feels like effort. It becomes your default state. When you remove the illusion of lack through faith, you begin to see the world differently. Instead of competition and limitation, you see opportunity and expansion. Instead of fear of loss, you feel the security of an infinite supply. This shift doesn't just change your relationship with money. It transforms your entire life, because the same faith that brings wealth also brings peace, health, love, and creativity. Wattles reminded us that faith must be unwavering. Even a small seed of doubt, if nourished, can grow into fear. So you train your mind to stay focused on what you want, not what you fear. You hold the mental image of prosperity and act as if it is already unfolding. Through this steady faith, the illusion of lack simply fades away, replaced by the awareness that the universe has always been on your side. The law of increase. He taught that one of the greatest secrets to attracting wealth lies in the law of increase. This law is simple yet deeply profound. Whatever you bless and appreciate expands, while whatever you criticize or resent diminishes in your experience. If you want more abundance in your life, your thoughts, words, and actions must always point toward growth, expansion, and increase, not reduction or limitation. In life, many people unknowingly block their own prosperity by focusing on lack. They talk endlessly about what they don't have, complain about rising costs, and envy the success of others. Wattles made it clear that such thoughts contract your energy. When you think in a way that reduces, you cut yourself off from the universal flow of abundance. But when you hold a mindset of increase, you become magnetic to more. The law of increase begins with a simple but powerful practice. Always look for the good and call it forth. If you see someone thriving in their business, bless them silently and say, "There's more than enough for all of us. Their success proves what is possible for me." When you see beauty, wealth, health, or creativity in any form, let your mind dwell on the fact that it is proof of the abundant nature of life. By appreciating it rather than feeling jealous or small, you align yourself with that same energy. Wattles explained that thoughts of increase are in harmony with the creative force of the universe. The universe itself is always expanding. It never shrinks. Every atom, every seed, every star is constantly moving toward greater expression. So, when your thoughts mirror this natural law of expansion, you flow with the universe instead of against it. You begin to feel a quiet sense of power, knowing that your very mindset is opening new channels for wealth and opportunities. He encouraged people to develop a mental habit of increase. For example, when you meet someone, leave them feeling better than they were before they met you. Offer a kind word, share encouragement, give a genuine compliment. This simple act plants seeds of goodwill. And because the universe always returns what you give, you will find yourself surrounded by uplifting energy. Wattles also emphasized the importance of never speaking of loss, failure, or decline. Even when things seem difficult, hold to the idea of increase. If your business has a slow day, affirm quietly that greater growth is on its way. If you see others struggling, don't dwell on their hardship. Send them thoughts of expansion and prosperity. By doing so, you keep your vibration aligned with abundance rather than sinking into the energy of lack. Another powerful application of the law of increase is in gratitude. When you're grateful for what you have, you naturally increase its value in your own mind. Gratitude multiplies because it shifts your focus from what is missing to what is already working. And as Wattles taught, whatever you focus on grows. This law also applies directly to money. If you treat money with respect and gratitude, even the smallest amount, it tends to grow. But if you constantly complain about not having enough, you reinforce the belief in scarcity. For example, instead of saying, "I can't afford this," you can shift your language to, "I am creating the means for this to flow into my life." Such small shifts in perspective align your subconscious mind with expansion rather than limitation. Wattles believed that one of the fastest ways to embody the law of increase is to see yourself as a source of increase for others. When you are in business, aim to give more in value than you receive in payment. When you interact with friends, family, or clients, aim to uplift them. This doesn't mean overextending yourself or being taken advantage of. It means operating with a spirit of generosity and growth. When others feel increased by your presence, you naturally attract more relationships, opportunities, and wealth. The law of increase works quietly but powerfully. The more you live with the mindset of growth, the more life responds with expansion. Over time, you will notice subtle shifts, unexpected opportunities, chance encounters, new ideas, and increased flow in your finances. It is not magic. It is simply the universe mirroring your inner state of increase. So, as you move through your day, ask yourself, are my thoughts and words adding to life or subtracting from it? Am I seeing possibilities or problems? Am I blessing others' success or resenting it? Every moment is a choice to align with growth or with contraction. By choosing thoughts of increase consistently, you place yourself in harmony with the creative power that governs all abundance. You don't take from others, you create more. Wallace D. Wattles made one thing absolutely clear. Wealth is not a zero-sum game. The universe is not a fixed pie where someone must lose for you to win. Instead, it is an ever-expanding field of possibility, overflowing with resources, ideas, and opportunities. When you create wealth in the right way, the creative way, you are not depriving anyone else. In fact, you are adding to the richness of life for everyone around you. This concept is vital because many people carry hidden guilt about becoming rich. They fear that by taking more for themselves, someone else will have less. They've been conditioned to see money as limited, as if the world's resources are locked in a finite vault. Wattles shattered this illusion by teaching that wealth flows from formless substance, a limitless supply of energy and intelligence that responds to thought. There's no shortage of ideas, no shortage of creativity, no shortage of ways to serve. When you bring something new into the world, you are not taking, you are adding. Think of an inventor who creates a breakthrough technology. Do they steal anything from others? No. They tapped into the invisible field of infinite ideas and manifested something new. That creation, in turn, produces more jobs, more opportunities, more advancement. Wealth generated through creativity multiplies. It doesn't subtract. Wattles called this the creative plane, the higher way of thinking that rises above competition. This is why guilt has no place in true wealth creation. When you enrich yourself by enriching others, everyone benefits. Imagine opening a business that provides real value to people. Your customers' lives improve. Your employees earn a livelihood. Your community grows because money circulates. In this sense, becoming rich is not selfish. It is one of the most generous things you can do. Wattles urged us to see the truth. Poverty helps no one. You cannot give your best to the world if you are struggling to survive. You cannot share your talents fully if you are constantly anxious about bills. You cannot donate, support, or inspire if you're limited. But when you are financially free, you have the ability to lift others, to invest in causes that matter, to contribute in ways you never could before. And here is something powerful. When you desire wealth, you are not desiring piles of paper or coins. You are desiring the fuller expression of life. You want a beautiful home, meaningful experiences, better education for your children, the freedom to explore your potential. These are not selfish desires. They are the natural expression of a soul longing to expand. Wattles insisted that this desire is divine because it mirrors the very nature of the universe, which is always seeking greater expression. When you embrace this truth, guilt dissolves. You begin to see wealth not as taking from someone else's share, but as tapping into an infinite source and creating something new. Look at any great artist, entrepreneur, or visionary. They all drew from the same endless field of ideas, and their creations inspired even more. Steve Jobs didn't take phones away from anyone. He created a better experience that elevated an entire industry. Oprah didn't take wisdom away from other speakers. She amplified voices, opened doors, and multiplied value. This is the mindset Wattles wanted you to adopt. Your wealth creates more wealth for others. The better you become, the more you can give. The more you have, the more you can do. The universe is not diminished by your abundance. It is expanded through it. So, if you've ever felt uneasy about wanting money, remember, wanting more is natural. It is the same energy that makes a tree grow taller or a flower bloom wider. Suppressing the desire doesn't help anyone. Aligning with it in a creative, ethical way benefits all. When you generate wealth by serving others, by improving life in some way, your prosperity becomes a blessing that ripples outward endlessly. You are not stealing from the universe when you become rich. You are collaborating with it. You are participating in the eternal dance of expansion. And in doing so, you invite others to rise with you. How poverty thinking blocks wealth. Wallace D. Wattles often reminded his readers that poverty is not just a condition of the wallet. It begins as a condition of the mind. Long before you experience lack in your outer world, you experience it as thoughts, beliefs, and emotional patterns within. Poverty thinking is subtle. It shows up as doubt, worry, and an unconscious belief that there's not enough to go around. And as long as you hold onto these limiting patterns, you remain disconnected from the infinite supply that the universe is ready to pour into your life. Let's look at how this works. Thoughts are creative forces. They shape your inner vibration, and your vibration determines what you attract. If your mind constantly focuses on what's missing, bills piling up, expenses outpacing income, fear of losing what you have, you are reinforcing a signal of lack. The universe, like a mirror, reflects that signal back to you with more circumstances that match it. Wattles called this the competitive plane, where people believe they must fight over scraps instead of creating more. Poverty thinking is sneaky because it often feels justified. You might think, I'm just being realistic. I need to know what's in my bank account. I need to worry about how I'll pay for things. But here's the key insight Wattles gave. Whatever you dwell on expands. When your mind is fixated on shortage, you create more of it. When you hold a mental image of abundance, and act in harmony with it. You step onto the creative plane where new wealth begins to flow. Look at the difference in energy between two people facing the same situation. One person loses their job and immediately falls into fear, saying, "There are no opportunities out there. The market is terrible. I'll never recover." Another person loses their job but thinks, "This is an opening for something greater. I trust that new ideas and better paths are waiting for me." Who do you think will attract fresh opportunities? The person aligned with possibility, not limitation. Wattles emphasized that poverty is not a virtue. It doesn't make you more spiritual, noble, or worthy. Struggling endlessly does not honor life. It diminishes it. Yet many people hold subconscious guilt about desiring wealth, as if wanting more is wrong. This hidden conflict keeps them trapped. You cannot move toward prosperity while secretly believing it is selfish or unattainable. So how do you break free from poverty thinking? The first step is awareness. Catch yourself when you use limiting language. "I can't afford that. Money is hard to come by. Rich people are greedy. Opportunities are scarce." These statements may feel harmless, but they are seeds you are planting in your subconscious. Over time, they grow into deeply rooted beliefs that shape your reality. The next step is replacement. Every time you recognize a fear-based thought, consciously choose a creative one. Instead of "I can't afford it," say "I'm open to the flow of new wealth." Instead of "money is hard to earn," say "money comes to me in expected and unexpected ways." This isn't about lying to yourself. It's about training your mind to focus on solutions rather than problems. Wattles taught that you must think truth regardless of appearances. Even if your current reality seems limited, you hold to the vision of abundance, knowing that your thought is the first cause of change. Another powerful practice is shifting your attention from competition to creativity. Poverty thinking assumes there's only a limited supply and that you must take from others to have enough. But creative thinking recognizes the universe as limitless. Ideas are infinite. Opportunities are endless. When you create value, you open new channels of prosperity that benefit everyone. Consider this. Every great invention, every new business, every work of art was born from someone who refused to think in terms of scarcity. They didn't ask, "Who will I take from?" They asked, "What can I create that didn't exist before?" That shift from taking to creating is the essence of moving beyond poverty thinking. Gratitude also plays a huge role in dismantling scarcity beliefs. When you appreciate what you already have, even if it's small, you signal to your subconscious that you live in a world of plenty. You stop obsessing over what's missing and start noticing the good that is already present. Wattles wrote that gratitude keeps you connected to the source of supply. It aligns your thoughts with increase, not decrease. Finally, poverty thinking dissolves through consistent faith. Faith is the bridge between your current reality and your desired one. It is not blind hope. It is a knowing that the universe responds to your mental image. When you hold that image firmly, refusing to waver no matter what outer appearances say, you invite the creative forces of life to rearrange circumstances in your favor. So remember this, poverty is not just about lacking money. It is about lacking vision. When you change your inner conversation, when you stop worshiping limitation and start aligning with the truth of infinite supply, your outer world cannot help but transform. Money is a tool for good. Wallace D. Wattles believed deeply that money is not inherently good or bad. It is neutral energy, a form of power that takes on the intention of the person who uses it. In the hands of someone driven by fear, greed, or ego, it can create harm and perpetuate scarcity for others. But in the hands of someone with a vision for growth, compassion, and contribution, money becomes a multiplier of good. It amplifies your ability to serve, to create, and to make meaningful changes in the world. Think about it. What could you do for others if financial stress was completely removed from your life? You could give freely without hesitation. You could support causes that align with your heart. You could invest in creating opportunities for people who lack access to resources. You could build something that outlives you, schools, organizations, projects that uplift entire communities. This is the true potential of wealth when it's seen as a tool rather than an end goal. Wattles challenged the belief that poverty somehow makes people more spiritual or noble. He argued that struggling for basic survival limits your ability to express your fullest self. A person consumed with worry about how to pay for food or shelter cannot easily focus on creating art, advancing ideas, or serving others on a larger scale. He famously wrote that you cannot live a full life without enough wealth to support health, comfort, beauty, and personal growth. Prosperity, therefore, is not selfish. It's a responsibility to yourself and to the world. When you see money as a tool for good, you release the guilt or shame often tied to desiring it. Desiring wealth doesn't mean you're greedy. It means you want the freedom to expand your life and help others expand theirs. Look at history's great philanthropists. Andrew Carnegie used his fortune to build thousands of public libraries. Oprah Winfrey has funded schools, scholarships, and community programs around the world. Even everyday examples, parents funding their children's education, individuals donating to relief efforts, or small business owners creating jobs, show how money can ripple outward in service of humanity. Notice how this reframes the entire conversation about wealth. If you believe money is evil or corrupt, your subconscious will quietly sabotage your ability to receive it. It will treat wealth as something dangerous or morally wrong. But if you recognize that money is simply a vehicle, one that magnifies your existing character, you remove that inner resistance. You understand that becoming wealthy does not change who you are at your core. It simply gives you a larger platform for your values. Imagine a world where people who genuinely care about others have more financial resources. Think about the innovators who could solve environmental problems with better funding, the healers who could expand their reach, the educators who could build better schools. When compassionate, conscious individuals attract wealth, the entire collective benefits. That is the essence of creative wealth that Wattles spoke of, prosperity that multiplies good rather than perpetuates harm. So how do you align with this mindset? First, detach from the competitive plane of thinking that says, if I gain, someone else must lose. Instead, see money as endlessly circulating energy. There is no shortage. The more value you create, the more wealth flows to you, and the more you can circulate back into the world. Second, set a clear intention for how you will use wealth to benefit not just yourself, but those around you. Maybe it's through mentoring, supporting community projects, or simply living as an example of abundance without fear. Finally, remember that money will always amplify your inner state. If you cultivate generosity, gratitude, and vision, wealth will naturally enhance those qualities. If you cultivate fear and scarcity, wealth, even if it comes, will only deepen those patterns. This is why Wattles emphasized inner growth alongside material wealth. When your thoughts and actions are rooted in service and creativity, money becomes an unstoppable force for good. In this way, desiring wealth is not about hoarding or control. It's about stepping into your fullest potential and allowing that potential to lift others. You become a steward of abundance, proving that prosperity is not a privilege for a few, but a natural state available to all who align with the universal laws of growth. The universe rewards alignment. When Wallace D. Wattles spoke about wealth, he didn't describe it as a reward for luck or relentless struggle. He framed it as a natural outcome of living in alignment with universal laws. Think of the universe like a vast, intelligent system, one that responds to harmony, integrity, and purpose. When your thoughts, feelings, and actions are congruent with its principles, opportunities begin to unfold with ease, almost as if they were waiting for you all along. Alignment begins internally. It starts with understanding that you live in a creative, not competitive, universe. If your thoughts are fueled by fear, resentment, or the belief that wealth is limited, you create resistance. But when you shift into the certainty that abundance flows endlessly and that your growth contributes to the expansion of life itself, you become magnetic. The energy you hold is the invitation the universe responds to. Wattles explained that acting in harmony with universal law means moving with clarity of purpose. It means knowing what you want, holding it in your mind without contradiction, and taking inspired steps toward it without competing or forcing. It also means embodying integrity, choosing thoughts and actions that uplift rather than diminish. Wealth gained through manipulation, greed, or dishonesty carries its own weight and often dissolves just as quickly as it appears. But wealth aligned with service and creativity has a way of sustaining itself and multiplying over time. Look at nature. A tree does not compete with another tree for sunlight. It grows upward naturally, fulfilling its design. In doing so, it contributes to the whole ecosystem, providing oxygen, shelter, and beauty. Similarly, when you pursue wealth from a place of purpose and contribution, you fulfill your design and support the expansion of others. That is alignment in action. When you act with this kind of integrity, life seems to open doors you couldn't have forced open. You might meet the right person at the right time, stumble upon an idea that changes everything, or find yourself in a situation where resources flow effortlessly. Many call this coincidence or luck, but Wattles saw it as the universe responding to alignment. You are no longer in conflict with the laws of life. You are working with them. Alignment also requires clarity in your self-image. If deep down you see yourself as undeserving or unworthy of wealth, your subconscious will quietly sabotage your progress. But when you align your identity with abundance, when you truly see yourself as someone who naturally attracts and handles wealth, you remove that internal conflict. The universe reflects that certainty back to you through circumstances and opportunities that match your state. Purpose is another key piece. Wealth without purpose is hollow, but wealth aligned with a higher vision becomes fulfilling. When you know why you want abundance, not just for comfort or security, but to create, contribute, and expand, you naturally act in ways that align with that deeper why. This purpose acts as a guide, keeping you on the creative plane instead of falling back into competitive or fearful thinking. And finally, alignment invites service. The universe rewards those who bring value to others, because value is how life multiplies. When your wealth is tied to helping, inspiring, or uplifting, it becomes sustainable. Whether it's through your work, your art, your business, or even the way you treat people daily, serving others aligns you with the very heartbeat of abundance itself. So ask yourself, are your thoughts, beliefs, and actions in harmony with the universal laws of growth, integrity, and service? If yes, notice how opportunities begin to appear almost without effort. It may feel like the universe is moving pieces on your behalf because in truth, it is responding to your alignment. When you embody this state, life feels less like a struggle and more like a flow. Instead of pushing against resistance, you're carried by the same creative energy that moves the stars, the tides, and the seasons. And in that flow, wealth, success, and fulfillment become natural companions. Living rich before you see it. Wallace D. Wattles emphasized a simple but profound truth. You cannot wait for wealth to appear before you feel wealthy. The universe responds to who you are being in this very moment, not who you plan to be someday. This means you must cultivate the state of wealth consciousness before any physical evidence shows up. It is about embodying the vibration of abundance right now, even if your external reality hasn't yet caught up. This isn't about pretending or living beyond your means. It's about shifting your inner dialogue, your emotions, and your self-image to match the life you want. If you constantly think, I can't afford this, or I'll feel better when the money arrives, you're reinforcing a state of lack. But if you begin thinking and acting like someone who already has plenty, someone who is secure, confident, and generous, you start radiating the energy of abundance, and life reflects it back to you in ways you couldn't predict. Wattles explained that acting from the end result is the creative way of living. When you hold a clear mental image of already being rich, not in a competitive, grasping way, but in a calm, assured way, You signal to the formless substance, the infinite intelligence of the universe, exactly what to bring into your experience. Your subconscious accepts the image as real, and it begins to reorganize your habits, thoughts, and opportunities to match that vision. So, how do you feel rich before the money shows up? It starts with gratitude for what you already have. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to plenty. When you appreciate the small things, a comfortable bed, clean water, even the air you breathe, you're telling your mind, I live in a world of abundance. From there, you can begin to expand that feeling to larger desires. Another way is through your self-talk. Replace phrases like I'm broke or I can't afford that with empowering affirmations like I always have more than enough or money flows to me effortlessly and continuously. Your words shape your beliefs, and your beliefs shape your reality. You can also align your actions with wealth consciousness in simple, meaningful ways. Dress in a way that makes you feel confident and prosperous, even if it's just a small upgrade that feels authentic. Organize and care for the things you already own as if they are valuable treasures. Carry yourself with dignity and calmness, because true wealth is not frantic, it is grounded. Living rich before you see, it is about thinking from abundance, not about abundance. There's a big difference. Thinking about it implies it's still distant. Thinking from it assumes it is already yours here and now. When you make decisions from a mindset of someone who is already wealthy, you naturally choose higher quality thoughts, relationships, and opportunities. Look at those who radiate success. They often started by carrying themselves as successful long before the world recognized them. They believed in their vision so deeply that reality had no choice but to align. That same creative power lives within you. Wattles taught that the universe cannot deny the person who acts in complete faith and certainty. By embodying the wealth consciousness now, you close the gap between your desire and its manifestation. It's no longer a question of if wealth will come, but simply a matter of when. So, take a moment to imagine yourself already living in abundance, not in a far-off fantasy, but as a state of being you step into today. Notice how your posture changes, how your breathing feels lighter, how your energy shifts when you see yourself as already rich in mind and spirit. That feeling is the seed from which material wealth grows. Proof that the universe wants you rich. Look around at nature. Everywhere you see evidence of endless expansion. A single tree produces thousands of seeds, each capable of creating an entire forest. A river flows without hesitation, nourishing the land and life around it. The sky doesn't hold back sunlight. It gives freely. The universe is constantly creating more, never less. This alone is proof that abundance is the natural state of existence. Scarcity is not the default of life. It is a human-made concept born from fear and limited thinking. Wallace D. Wattles explained that you are not an outsider to this process of expansion. You're a vital part of it. Just as the universe expresses its abundance through trees, rivers, and stars, it expresses abundance through you. Your desire for wealth, health, love, or purpose is not random. It is the universe moving through you, seeking greater expression. It wants you to live richly because only through your fulfillment can it continue its endless growth. History is filled with examples of people who trusted this principle and watched their lives transform. Think of Andrew Carnegie, who went from a poor immigrant boy to one of the richest men of his era, not by hoarding, but by creating industries that benefited millions. Consider Oprah Winfrey, who rose from a background of hardship to build a legacy of wealth and empowerment, inspiring countless others. Their lives show that when you align with the idea of growth, the universe responds. Even in small ways, you can see this law at work. Have you ever noticed how one good thought leads to another? How one act of kindness seems to ripple out into more? That is the law of increase. When you think in terms of abundance, you activate forces far greater than yourself. Wattles insisted that poverty thinking blocks this flow, while wealth consciousness allows it to unfold naturally. The universe doesn't play favorites. It simply responds to what you believe and expect. If you believe you are meant to struggle, you'll find proof of that everywhere. But if you believe the universe wants you rich, you'll begin to notice opportunities, ideas, and connections that were always there, waiting for your recognition. The laws of nature, from the growth of a seed to the orbit of planets, all operate on expansion. Life does not contract, it evolves. By aligning with that same principle of growth, you honor the very intelligence that created you. Your wealth doesn't take away from anyone else. In fact, when you become rich in mind and spirit, you create more value for the world around you. So trust this truth. The universe is not withholding anything from you. It is waiting for you to step into alignment with its abundance. The very fact that you desire a better life is evidence that it's already possible for you. Your desire is a message, a sign that what you want is already available in the invisible supply. And as you accept this, something within you shifts. You no longer chase wealth with desperation. You attract it with certainty. You move from doubt to knowing, from limitation to freedom. Stay open, because life is always ready to give more. You are part of the infinite richness of existence, and it is your time to live fully, abundantly, and purposefully.